Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Pro League. I am Mitch Leslie, joined here by Lauren Scott. And if you just joined us, we are one map deep already into this matchup between Penta and Mousesports. A pretty close one in the end there on Mirage. I called 16-12. I was one round off there.
Yeah, awful caster. You don't know anything. You know, you just make these wild guesses. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it was actually a closer game than expected. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a walk in the park there for Mousesports, but Penta suddenly turned up on their T side. Now, again, this could be a factor here coming into this one. I know that there are no slouches on their T side. They can certainly turn up here on Cbble. It's not a bad map for them. Again, though, they did get outdone in the end by Virtus.Pro here previously.
Yeah, they did. And I mean, Penta have shown us some really good stuff, I think, on both Cash and Mirage. And they are maps that they play a ton of. They play so much of these two maps. Very popular in the German scene as well to play them. Everyone sort of thinks, oh, it's just Dust 2, but it's not. Both those two maps especially.
That's just my bane of existence.
Yeah, I mean, a lot less of Cbble, actually, for these guys in the past few months there as well. I mean, we'll see that in just a second. But, yeah, for Mousesports as well, we have had our moments of being critical on them about their performance in this map. Was it their matchup against Fnatic earlier on this? Did they play Fnatic earlier this season? Yeah, I'm throwing it back a little bit here as well. Either way, it was early in the Pro League, and it was somewhat unconvincing for us there as well. I mean, they were still gelling, still early days, of course. I think we really started to see the machine and the cogs start to turn there over on Mirage as well. So expect to see the same. And this is the kind of map where we talk about this all the time. This is like our favorite topic to talk about Cbble as well. Mirage is the kind of map where you play the information game, right? You see what you can get, you see if you can peek forward, you use things like short and T-ramp to just get spot out and get some information. Mousesports use it really well. They use Dennis quite effectively pushing into Palace on Mirage to go forward and find out where the Ts might possibly be set up. You can't do that on this map easily. You can't do it safely at all. Mike S was actually the player that we saw a lot of the time try and make these peaks on towards A long and try and get some information, but they're super risky, and that's how you get that info on Cobblestone. So it's going to look like a very different game, especially in the early round here, because the CT side are more restricted in their methods for gaining intel. Yeah,
absolutely spot on. Very much the synopsis of Cbble. It's, can you withstand the CT side? Do you have the set pieces for the T side? Yeah, the T side's pretty comfortable for most teams in some fashion, whether it be you have your set B play with, you know, the smokes that come down, you make the hit happen. You have your A split, you know, a couple through drop, mostly 3 down mid, 2 through drop. Always really nice to make a play towards A, or vice versa, 2 to 3, whichever way you like to do it. And then maybe just more of a default A hit, you know, a couple up long, making a play off the back. All very viable, all work well enough. However, the swing factor for me in this one is the double AWP potential that sits with Mousesports. We saw it being toyed with a little more than previous in just the last map there, with not only Oscar being the headliner, but Chris J as well having a good impact on this one there for Mousesports. And for Penta, they certainly have the viable options in the form of, you know, whether Crystal picks it up, Mike S, lots of players can, but I would say overall the skill will sit with Mousesports there on that one. But that's mostly for the CT side. So coming into this one, let's see which side we start on. It looks as though Penta going to be up on the T side to begin with, and Mousesports on the CT side. Yeah,
you can see they're 4 and 10 for Penta in previous times. So they still played a lot. I mean, these guys play so much CS. It's ridiculous. A lot of teams you see there will have like 3-7 or whatever, like with 14 games on in the last 3 months. And that's actually a lot more than you sort of realize when you're sort of playing official matches. But still, it's not been a good record. And most of those games for Penta have been up against sort of teams of the Tier 2 and Tier 3 nature. So.
Now, I love this. This is the pistol round that I like to be seeing happen, which is the straight up rush A mid, basically, because you normally play a 4-1 in a pistol, or you can play a 4-1 if you're confident in it. It's a fast rotate out, though, from Mousesports, so they know what's happening, but Chris J is just not landing those shots cleanly on the cross, but he makes up for it with a kill towards Stefan, leaving the bomb in a far from ideal place, and Penta got caught at the worst position possible, unable to make it just up the ramp, basically. If you make it past the ramp towards that APC, you can actually do work. You can really get into them. You can isolate that player on long. He feels, you know, very left out, very isolated. He normally gets picked up in maybe a 1-for-1 trade. However it happens, you generally get the favor. But Mousesports slowed them down on the cross, and they worked back into it.
And obviously, as a T-sided team, it's very, very hard to get up in the face of the CTs without walking at them for a bit of a distance there. So, I don't know, not quite enough respect given to Chris J over there at Wooden. He saw a few warbangs came in that dropped him super low. He was 23 before he started getting kills. But Nico, I love this spot. Rank 7, obviously, right up in the corner here. Very cost-efficient way to start off this second round as well, especially to get some kills in. That nade has really wounded Penta. And he could be rubbing his hands together a little bit more, but we haven't seen a rotation towards drop. It's just Shotgun City here. And that's all you need. We saw Splice do it so much, actually, recently over the qualifiers. It is just ching-ching all the way to the dollar bills. There's going to be Dennis there as well. So himself up 1. Mike S will go down. again, why you don't need to go rifles on this round if you can play those close angles. That's why CTs can make that happen if they know they're going to get pushed onto.
Yeah, and cash rules everything around me. Oscar's now on 6k. He can get up to the AWP really early if he fancies it. Probably not going to go for this round, of course. It's the most deadly thing to have against a pistol. You can be so overwhelmed, but the XM can work so nicely in drop as well. That kind of the power it brings, the quick nature that he can utilize it a little bit better than the others. The Mag 7's still viable as well. But for Penta, maybe a little bit of a talk time here, just kind of discuss things through, have a chat, say, all right, guys, what happened there? What went wrong? And Christian could be baited into this. Bear in mind that my cast is on long, but they don't have the deagles. Normally the deagle's the one that can kind of do the work from that. And Oscar's going to pop himself up in towards drop room, look for Crystal, and finds him. It just reminds me of Left 4 Dead whenever I hear that shotgun go.
Yeah, I mean, Crystal was trying to get information there. He spotted them coming, but it's not really much you can do when you've got Oscar running at you like this. Only got 2 shots, only 2 shells left in the shotgun, so just a little bit careful. It's all he needs to get the kill, but oh dear, Oscar, please, yeah. See, reload, son.
Oh my God.
Get that gun reloaded. Marquez will pick it up here, or at least attempt to. One of the bombs still out in front. He actually wasn't able to pick it up when he jumped down, so that's all. He has to get back there later on. And then the Speedy will do the rest of the cleaning work here as well. So Mousesports, a very economical buy into these first 2 rounds. It's going to yield them a good amount of money.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep that bank nice and topped up.
Yeah. Marquez, if he gets more, this is really nice for him. It does mean that he can look towards an AWP earlier than previous, but not going to happen. It was worth a good attempt. But Penta making something out of nothing there too. But, you know, getting those 2 kills is good. But again, that was aggressive from Mousesports because they had the expendable weaponry. They can go for that sort of play. And on the other side, of course, Penta opting to stay away from the AWP to start off with, not really having the cash flow for it just yet. And on the other side, there it is. Oscar straight
Look at the money
on
spent.
the AWP.
That's insane. I mean, he had like $8,100 at the start of this round. So for round 4, that is super nice. Still the scout for Christian though, and still the Mag 7 for Nico. So this is that 1 extra round that teams try and squeeze out of their sort of round 2 and round 3 buy. Can work on a map like this. It can as well if you have a nice little B hold up close and personal.
Such a gamble, Mitch. Look at this. The things they've double stacked on long. It's a gamble. It's a viable one. But Penta have done the slow walk through to A, and I love this. This sort of play just really, really piques my interest because you can then cut off the 2 other players. It means you've cut them right in half, and then any kill is huge. Tarsin finds Speedy. Now the players along feel pressured, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. They don't know what's going on. But then Penta also have to not outdo themselves here. The bomb's now planted, and the retake positions are good for Mousesports, but Crystal can take down Dennis and Chris J, make them panic, make them not feel good about this. And Oscar and Nico are locked out drastically.
Weapon-wise as well, not really the ideal arsenal you want to take into a scenario like this. And Chris J probably has to repeat multiple times. Nico needs to be up close. Oscar was smoked down in connector.
That was my one worry. No one's watching where Dennis is coming from. And this opens up an opportunity, but the opportunity is just dwindling second by second here, Mitch.
3 players left now as well. Bomb ticking away. Kits on everyone here for Mousesports. It was better off saving him somehow, and yeah, they will do that. They're going to back away. And AK picked up. They're not too shabby. And Mousesports, yeah, I mean, they give that round up. They let that one go over towards Penta, but still plenty of money for them. Oscar keeps the AWP, which he made a huge investment into in that previous round. So, again, he's also not complaining. But still, giving 1 round over towards Penta, give them a chance, let them even stabilize mildly in their economy. Always the way you want to let teams in. But we are seeing a lot of teams do that, try and squeeze the extra round out. But Penta just gutted Mousesports pushing out the middle like that.
And players on long will now feel the pressure. The knock-on effect of rounds like that when you have players pushing middle on you means that you can never leave it unattended. Hence why now Oscar has to take the peek. He can run towards danger, do like the peek on the cross. And the deep nades are going to give away there's some presence here. The molly on long will also display that. So again, he can't leave this position. Even if Penta went for a quick play off the back of this towards B, at the end of the day, you can't have the early rotate from Mousesports. It basically means that Chris J and Oscar are locked to this. They can't do that 4-1 play if they wanted. And Nico's got such an advanced position, though. That's still a really nice counter towards losing out some ground on A.
And Crystal as well, thinking about the drop. Actually, just he and Stefan at this stage, trying to see what they can find. Penta, not very forward positioning from any of them. I mean, Tarsin's way back at A-long here, so as much as a default as you could almost call it here, just try and see what they can spot out. Get a kill, work off the back of that one, apply further pressure to that area.
This is a full-on A split if I've ever seen it, or at least it was intended to be, but I don't think they're getting the presence they wanted early on enough here for Penta to be able to hit off the back of that. But now they've got a good spot with Stefan and Crystal holding the rotate back towards B itself. But then it's like okay, who do you want to get past? Spitty and Nico then. Okay. These are your two challenges. They're tucked in play in the sides. It's very hard to push them out of that. And PENTA are running out of time. They're a slow, methodical team at the moment. They don't have that quite, quick play that they used to on occasion. This seems like a more robust side. But I think they're going to start hearing the footsteps here. Nico's certainly got a good idea. The Molly's going to give away the game. And it's going to be PENTA pushing forward towards platform. Nico, they're going to easily take down Tarsin. Expects a push out from the broken wall there. Didn't happen. But Dennis fell in the meantime, meaning he's a little more vulnerable from drop. He has to keep that in mind. 20 seconds, Mitch.
Yeah, not a lot of time to work with here now as well. It's got to be go, go, go here for PENTA, and they do pull the trigger. They make their way forward, but still a bit more vulnerable now as they have to motor themselves on towards the side. The flash doesn't really do much to dissuade Stefan. He still falls, but gets himself a kill, and now it's Mike S all on his own. Peeks out, manages to catch Oscar by surprise. He'll try and keep his head down as much as he can, away for Chris J to swing in and save the day. And as a Mousesports round coming back up there as well, a bit of extra money spent in. Wow, a lot on Chris J there as well. So can spread that one quite nicely across them, and PENTA now back to the drawing board here. Will force up this round, fair enough as well. Gives them 3 AKs. Utility, not too shabby either, really.
No, perfectly fine. I'm hoping we see like a split B, a couple of players towards drop. Ideally, the one with the Tech 9 can head that way, or just all-out plat. This is what it looks like, an all-out plat play. Try and just exploit what you can. Make that Tech 9 come into an area it can actually do something with.
Well, Nico didn't even have the time because of spawn or whatever to actually get towards that platform, so they have to give that up now and play the longer game. It's going to be Spitty from a distance, gets tagged up a little bit there inside the chicken booth. And don't be stepping on eggshells there, son. It's going to be Oscar, though, that picks up Tarsin, keeps Spitty a little bit safer. Good little timing on the peek out. That's perfect. Bomb is on the ground. It's a little bit loose here at the moment. He's just picked up there briefly, but it has to be on the run now. It's going to be Mike S on the statue. Very vulnerable positioning now as well. This force not really coming to too much so far for PENTA. Stefan really striving to make the difference, but it won't be enough.
All Spitty for me. The fact he stayed alive in Chicken Coop was massive then. He was always, keeping them humble. They could never go for the clean plant. They could never, get the time in their favor. And then he even got kills, 3 kills from there as well. Really nicely done. A man who often goes unappreciated in this lineup, I think. The fact is when you got people like Oscar, you got people like Chris J, Nico, all these bigger names out there. Of course, it's easy to kind of slip away, but that was a round where you see his value and his weight in gold. So 5-1, saves the round, pulls it back in. It was looking a little dangerous once those smokes got in there. You're like, okay, maybe there's something to be seen. Not the case in the end, and now it's going to be the play, trying to catch a couple of guns away, see if there's any aggression here. The double peek towards middle, and Dennis is going to back from that.
Hard for you to place your crosshair on the right spot there as well. Yeah. There's a multitude of different places on that Y-axis where you could be having to look. So reasonable. But Chris J picks up a Mike S, he gets a little bit ahead of himself now. Dennis ready to receive as well. He catches the second. It's going to be low to fall now. 2 players down for PENTA. Over on towards long, so hoping to try and get up close with the pistols and make something happen, but still Mousesports keeping a respectable distance between them and just dealing with them from afar.
What's the money like? We haven't really seen much of an AWPing presence from PENTA yet. Or not at least consistently. They just haven't had the opportunity to build up the money, so come on, what a difference that's making. Chris J being the bank here. Always good for him. Means that he can always have an AWP if needed, or drop it out to Oscar, or just constantly keep his teammates with weaponry. Such a big difference. But again, PENTA looking a little lackluster on the T side, and that's worrying to me because it's normally their T sides that really provide the backbone to them having these competitive these games. And we saw it before. We saw it on Mirage. Not seeing it here. That makes me wonder, is their CT side strong enough to hold up against Mousesports on their T side? Beautiful timing on the nade then. Does actually take a little bit of HP away from Crystal, but not too much. Not enough to write home about. I think Oscar spotted that. He needs to be careful not to be baited in. That's what he was just checking for. Was there another player trying to bait off the back of it? No. It was just LOL taking a bit too much of a wide peek. Now the smoke comes in, and he can escape.
Nice position there as well. Sometimes on the T side, you can get through on towards that B platform with an early AWP, but if you peek once and miss it, and then you're sort of hanging around once the smoke's cleared, it's not going to work out for you at all. LOL down already. Not good. Obviously, he didn't have the AWP, just an AK, but was hoping for a little bit of a different angle. But Mousesports buying this round with like 32k, which is obviously pretty much the max that you can sort of spend and keep in your inventory. The exception of extra pistols in the lot. So, I mean, they've got everything they need here, and they still are holding on to most of it. That's the main thing. Chris J is the only player up on that A site here at this stage. So, Dennis, while he's in a position to rotate, if he's cut down here and PENTA really hit that A site fast, they can overwhelm. No, good on Dennis. Keeps himself alive, but does commit himself to the B site now. The smoke put in. So PENTA really trying to box Mousesports off here. Going to leave Chris J on his own. Mouse will have to challenge this.
Yeah, at this point, Chris J has to hold them back. He's got the last line of defense. Crystal could have done so much there. Finds one, but that's good, but it's not good enough when you're down to just 2 players here. And for PENTA, they're running out of steam, running out of ideas. Can't even get a bomb plant. This is a bit of a disaster, if I'm honest. Mike S surrounded. It's got to be time for a pause here or a timeout for PENTA if they want to have a shot at this, because they are running on steam.
Yep. And
or
look,
fumes, should I say.
Fumes, steam. I mean, to be fair, like nuclear power plants run on steam, so that's still... But
great.
The thing here is that the idea for PENTA was quite good. You know, you establish, you cordon off an area of the map. You're going to have 2 players getting ready to push up that ramp over on towards the A site. It was going to work for them because only Chris J was over there for Mousesports. And throw the smoke in, Crystal there catches the rotators out as they try and... They have to challenge the smoke, right? Because you can't be 4 on one side and 1 on the other and know they're going to that weaker site. But Chris J as well, very clever for him. He made a move nice and fast. He went from the back of the A site, which is your standard spot, made his way to Wooden. So even if like he had to sort of spend a lot of time at the site, he could have gotten out alive and even allowed his team then to play back into a decent retake. So, you know, the fact that he was, you know, if it was going to come down to that head-to-head, maybe close situation, a 2v2 or something, that was the Jenga block in the tower for PENTA that could have been pulled out. Didn't get to that point because Nico just smashed them as he made his way through, but sometimes you just can't really account for that kind of play from the man, although you should. PENTA have come up with nothing so far. Mousesports looking rock solid. And the money just, yeah, I mean, well distributed. Chris J and Nico just loving life right now.
Yeah, I don't know what PENTA can do
Chris
to
J
really
hasn't
break
died
this.
yet.
No, I think he was, yeah, he's 8-0, is it? Or yeah, 8-0. Oh, man, that's frustrating. How do they exploit this? Because PENTA, the thing before that I was hoping they would do would be that they'd be exploiting A more, which they've tried. They've seemingly tried this. They just don't seem to be getting players on long well enough. They're never getting those clean takes. I honestly think they could split that so much easier, bait it a little bit. But, you know, this is with every information that I have, right? That's the factor, is that we have all the info here. For PENTA, they're running on 50%, right? They see what they're doing, they see the response from Mousesports, but they don't see the initiation, they don't see the initial positions from Mousesports, they don't see everything like that. So again, it's very easy when you're in Twitch chat or you're in our positions for you to go, all right, why aren't they just doing this? Yeah, that's so obvious. But when you're so tunnel visioned in on what you're doing, it's very hard to see the bigger picture. But at 7-1, something has to change. And this is not maybe the round to see the biggest point of that, but again, it's time to maybe test the waters, get something in the minds of Mousesports, and set the tone for the rest of these rounds.
PENTA not able to buy up into much on this round, sadly enough. Not really much utility to work with either. Maybe they can overwhelm Oscar here as well. They're trying to work on towards A long. And Oscar, ooh, he could have gotten out of this one, but now he's going to be pinched in. He needs to go straight through. Oh. I was going to say he needs to go straight through Tarson, but I mean, he just passes through him like a ghost there. Now, 5 health though has to back away. This was a possibility. This was potential for this to happen now. Lol on the corner tries to go for the peak, but Spinner shuts it down. A glimmer of hope just snuffed out in an instance for PENTA.
I think it's just the...
That hurts.
Yeah, that's not fun.
I mean, you don't invest heavily into this round, but that still hurts.
It's not how you want to lose them.
That's
so,
like, yeah.
Yeah, for me, now it's time to see the difference, right? This is where you've got to see everything happen. This is simple as that. We finally get to see a bit of an alt play coming out from Mike S. Again, we haven't seen much of that. Can he take the fight on long? They haven't really been fighting it too much. So again, these mollies will play off somewhat. And I'm hoping they try and abuse a little bit more towards long. Try and stop ignoring danger. Danger being the little staircase there in towards middle. I'm hoping they don't just ignore it, because we've seen a lot of plays kind of coming through that, bouncing between it. And Chris J, not yet to be challenged. He's listening. That's purely all this is. Listening out for those steps towards middle, giving over info.
But he's trying to find diagonally with the right brick. Just cap it with your umbrella. Go and get some birdie bots beans.
I always liked it when Harry Potter tried to do the diagonally thing, and he said diagonally. So he just went...
Yes, yeah, diagonally with the flu flux. Oh, man. Good days. And a good one for Mousesports here.
Leviosa.
Well, we all know it's Leviosa. Anyway.
Okay, this is what I wanted to see, right? PENTA have actually taken themselves up through danger, so now they can actually pressure a little bit more as a collective through A, but the problem is it's quite obvious. It's not an easy one. You want a really nice split through drop to try to complement this to make people like Dennis and Chris J incredibly vulnerable, but they don't have that. They don't have that read into it. They wouldn't make the assumption they'll do the double stack towards middle off the back and leave one on site. So now, Mike S going to go for the boost. Means you can kind of peek towards the stairs, see if maybe you can peek towards a little side room. You can definitely see it. No one's really playing it though. Has to turn away from the flash and wonders where that's coming from. And they might just find out very, very soon. Allowed a lot of room to work here. Spitty's playing pretty far back. Tarsin finds Dennis, but Chris J has the chance to take down Crystal, completely blinded. Trades go back and forth. Good work from Penta, but Chris J still alive. Finally goes down. 20 seconds left in a 2v2.
Yeah, Chris J not in a great position, but he made the worst of a bad situation. The bomb is on the side there as well. Stefan wants to put it down, but Nico always put himself in a 1v1. He may just thrive here. He's looking at the bomb. No time left. He just needs to delay a little bit longer. Mike has got no chance. He's going to walk over the fight. Doesn't matter. Marquez takes him down, though. That is what you don't want. Did he not know where he was after the fact?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
No. But it was a good... Okay, so really, it was just a good plan from Penta there as well. That's finally the kind of play that I wanted. They exploit danger. They work their way up long a little bit. They do the set piece towards A. That was nice. I wanted a little bit more pressure coming through drop so you can do the split. But overall, that's what I wanted to see. I doubt the Mousesports will do the double stack there again. And it looks like they're going to try and maybe do the drop play. I'd really like to see that from Penta. Again, this could be really nice, but it could all be undone here.
Spitty and Dennis watching their respective areas there as well. They're going to be the points of first contact here, most likely, even Chris J getting involved. Double AWP here as well still. So Mousesports, we know what they can do with this. It's quite frightening. Crystal again. Just testing and drop. Actually, it's all towards A now again. This is what actually happened in that force round here where Penta finally had their first buy and Mousesports didn't really have much to work with. But the shot misses from Chris J. Could have had that one. He doesn't even get the second either. He's given away Dennis as a sacrifice, and you better hope it gives him some increased potency in these firefights. But no, it just pretty much makes him blind. He can't see a thing with the flash coming in, and now Spitty setting himself up on the balcony. At least gets a shot towards Lowell, but now it's a 1v3 situation. Oscar falls down. Spitty has to do a lot of work. Bomb goes loose, and that's going to buy him some time. May even force Crystal to peek out there as well, but Spitty, red pill or blue pill, my friend? They're both poison in this case, potentially. No! It's going to be Stefan. Falls, 19 health left, smoke on the bomb site. And now, thinks about peeking over the top or around the fringes of the smoke here. Now, if you're Crystal, you just back away. Tail between your legs. Go to B, but Spitty saw it.
That's such good information gathered there. Oh my word, Crystal though can plant safe for this. He's got full HP and he's got a molly. He can cut off anything he wants to here, but he's going to go straight for the plant. Spitty's so quick to get here, and he doesn't expect it, but he adjusts, but not well enough.
That planting location was really quite nice there as well. It gave Crystal, Spitty had a multitude of options there as well for peeking into. I mean, you maybe reasonably think it's at the statue or something like that as well, because you're obscured immediately and you can peek both sides of it there. So, you know, when you're approaching a side like that in a 1v1, you got to play by percentages and say where's the most likely chance of where he'll be. And with it being as low as he was, unfortunate for Spitty, but he had everything he needed to work with there. Even, like, maybe even wrap from drop for him, jump in there from connector. He had the time, he'd have a bit of a safer angle maybe from drop, but wasn't to be. And hindsight is 20/20, Lauren. It's 8-3 though. So still Penta struggling to really define these rounds one on top of the other. First in some time.
Crystal, Oscar doesn't know he's there. And Crystal obviously doesn't know Oscar's there, so it's who moves first, and whoever makes the move eventually goes down. It's Oscar finding Crystal, and that's the start they were looking for. They hadn't had the first kill advantage in quite some time. So now here's the issue. Mousesports have adjusted. They're not playing the same they were on long before. They're not playing close towards middle. They've fallen back towards A site, where you're going to see the AWPs really starting to show up. So, my guess towards long with Lol, just clearing out these corners. There's always a possibility someone's sitting in that ledge on the right side. And again, though, this is going to take some time. Penta needs to build up to it, and they have no mollies to clear anything quicker, nor do they have any. They have one smoke on Tarsin, and that is it.
Interesting from Stefan here. Now, he doesn't want to die here because he's probably going to be the player that needs to go back and get the bomb if Penta do decide to go A here. Managed to get the kill. Again, maybe he'll cut off connector here. Doesn't have a smoke to really secure that one. So a little unfortunate, but Stefan maybe now trying to pincer on A. So Tarsin's the one that goes back and gets the bomb. Stefan maybe even hears something behind him. Doesn't check the flower beds, and it's going to be Spitty to put that man to bed with the bomb in the hands of Tarsin. So that one is still heading in towards A, and Chris J. First shot, oh dear, gets caught on the edge. That's not what you want. Definitely out in the open now, and Dennis with the CZ option. Not ideal, but going to try and make it work for him there as well. Spitty had a good chance, gets the 2, that's his second of that one. Can't quite get the third, and now another 1v1, and Dennis comes out with the goods. Marquez, very close though. Yeah, 2 quick kills there. Really don't want to discount it from that one, because those two were at quite disparate angles. You know, he definitely had to flick across and make those ones happen, but 9-3 here as well. And Mousesports, again, they gut Penta. No money in the bank for them, and they're just going to have to wait this one out and maybe even think about the next half here.
Yeah, with so few rounds, though, you kind of have to buy into it. You know what I mean? It's that situation of kind of need something with this one, and you can pull something together with drop. But look at this again, the 4-1 play. It's so good. As soon as you know the Penta are on bad money, you can maybe make a bit of a gamble and bet that they could go for a B hit, and they've done it. And Oscar with USPS, of all things, finds the kill towards Stefan, and now the AWP can ring through. He can't make it work. Actually has to back away. Crystal going to try and exploit this as fast as he can. Makes a mad dash in, mad dash out. Comes back again for it. Looks for work with that deagle to be placed, but with Oscar looking a little bit more vulnerable.
Oh, he knows he's there now.
He can't land the shot. He can't find the angle safely. And it means that, well, there's no pressure coming from elsewhere. They kind of just funneled themselves in towards drop, and these pistols are not going to get the job done at this sort of range. They're so outgunned here.
Yeah, and they're trying to make it work as well, just trying to work in for the fringes, but eventually you've got to go for a bit of a contact. Oh, that's so unfortunate. So many shots that could have hit Oscar, but none of them do. Nico falls down, though, at least. That's something. Penta have been able to scavenge something out of this round, but Molotov now. Oscar, no more funny business. He's probably going to get taken down by Lol here at close range, but no Spitty. Perfect little watch on there. Great crossfire set up. Spitty with a fantastic few rounds here, Lauren. Really impressed me. And there's Oscar to finish it off. Finally finds his quarry there in Crystal. Not quite the hunting jaunt he would have liked, as he was very, very low on the other side of that door for quite some time. But a bit of a here's Johnny moment, breaking through and getting the kill. 10-3.
Penta's money is really bad. Really, really bad.
Oh, God. It is that double eco territory.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Well, they're just going to kind of forego this one and then try and buy everything they can into the next, pretty much. Simple as that. A bomb plant would allow them somewhat of a bit of grace here and a good, well, maybe a misread from Mousesports, putting 3 additional players towards A, but they've actually pushed one through on towards long, so they know what's happening. Chris J's well and truly away. He's got to be careful there's no one just playing by the stairs, but Nico's going to hear it all. He knows what's coming his way. The pistols are in good range, though, so that could have created problems, but it's the crossfire with Spitty that pays off. In the end, Nico will fall, but it's perfectly fine at that point. They upgrade the previous rifle. Dennis will get the M4 now, and they can buy again, supplement each other in towards the final round. And for going that, at least for Penta, does mean they can buy into this one, and they need it.
Oh, we've been here before, Lauren. It was pretty much the same story at the end of the Mirage half there. Mousesports with a distinct lead, but that was one that they sort of grafted for themselves on the T side. So here on the CT side, which many may consider the less favoured, Mousesports have just had an absolute field day of it here. Will be Dennis to come forward again. I mean, money not a problem for Mousesports, naturally. For Penta, very much a different story. The rounds where they've had AWPs, well, there have not been many of them. Maybe a couple in the mix there, and they were not overly fruitful either.
Look at this.
Oh,
Nico, you absolute animal. Going aggressive on this round, come on, give him a chance, give him a second to breathe, but no. Crystal now in between a literal rock and a hard place. Where does he go? Does he choose Nico? Does he want to go back to that? No, the bulldozer finds his destination. He comes back around, did the full tour of Cbble towards B, and now they know exactly where Penta are left.
It's like 90 lashes or having your toenails removed forcibly one by one, Lauren. I don't really think there's a good result there. Very much pinned. So pushing on towards the A side, though, only 2 players left there. Tarson just sees someone jump past him. Almost got his teammate there, but Mike Hess at least managed to finish off Nico. This could be big. Tarson doesn't see what's through. The smoke goes face to face with Oscar. It's like coming face to face with the devil, especially with an AWP barrel up your nose. And it will be 12-3 here for Mousesports at the half. Another dominant performance. Another good example as well. We've seen that Mousesports are making very good use of players like Spitty. You know, really impressed to see him and how he's managed to lock down, especially Chris J as well, left on his own on the A side, making good when he's often on his own.
Yeah, I started to like the read from Penta after the pause, but it felt like too little, too late by that point. They'd only got 3 rounds. Mousesports were dominant. You had Nico having good performances too, being a bolstering factor. But as you said, Spitty is someone to look at. Finally having a big performance when often he's overlooked.
Yeah, that's right. Well, after the break, again, another chance for Penta. Well, unenviably so. They have to make up from a large deficit. Started off very well for Mousesports with the shotguns, and it pretty much just kept rolling from there. We'll be back with the second half of Cobblestone right after the break. And a match between two teams that have met each other many times in the past. It is Mousesports definitely coming up on top and seem to be enjoying themselves at this stage. I'm Mitch Leslie. Thank you for joining us again. I'm here with Lauren, Pansy, Scott. And it is obviously the last half time of the night here. We've had a solid night, to be honest with you, especially after that first match. We'll talk about later on. But for here, it's PENTA really need, again, to win the pistol. They did it at Mirage. It's got to happen now. Yeah,
it's do or die time. They did manage it, as you said before. They brought the game back to look like a very competitive matchup. But at this point, already, PENTA getting off to a good start. That's a brilliant beginning. If anyone you want to take down at the start, it's going to be Nico. That's a good beginning for any team at this point. But let's look at what Mousesports are up to. 4 players heading towards A. You've got Tarsin and Mike S falling back towards site. Tarsin watching the cross, Mike S playing from the site itself. And Chris J has to take that battle eventually, but it's Dennis to win it through.
Yeah, that's right. It's not a great side for PENTA now. Control of the site is for Mousesports. And you said in the last half, if the Ts can get around that armored car and on towards the side, they can do so much work. They can get in the face of the CT side. Tarsin now as well, just wondering what the option is going to be here. Speedy catches low as he goes in towards the middle, and now Crystal might be next on the chopping board. This is not what you want as PENTA. Nico went down early. They had the advantage, and it's all gone to nothing.
Those after-plant positions were so nice from Mousesports, them watching every single angle required. Dennis as well excelling, where I didn't actually expect him to personally, but he really started to pull his weight. Going to get himself straight up towards the rifle as well. So he's going to be one of those players on that. Maybe 2 rifles. We've got the Galil on Spiddy. And then Chris J can probably opt to go for a lighter SMG if he fancies. Oh, and a Galil as well actually for him. So going to invest fully into this one. So the SMG player is going to be kind of leading the way here, trying to build up the most economy as they can, build up the bank. Will be Oscar and Nico. And on the other side, you're going to see the Force Spy coming back in. They have to anyway. So going to be a flash over towards the platform, and maybe try and set up someone like Crystal, but by this point already, Nico's just barreled through, and it's just Crystal trying to do everything he can. Nice crossfire in play, but Lol will fall eventually, but not without a response, not without a reply. And what a decisive round from PENTA, really creating a hefty crossfire by that platform.
Yeah, and they had good concentration of CTs over towards that area. Nico, I guess, attempted a quick 180 or even it was a 360, but somehow didn't see Crystal there. As he came down over the platform, Crystal was just tucked away or got lucky. Either one doesn't matter because he made good in it and got the kill. Okay, Mousesports, settle. Hold your horses for just a moment here. You don't have the money to work with. Oh, okay. A couple of Deagles are going to come in regardless here. Obviously to force. But double P90. Okay, PENTA mean business.
All right, Mousesports, what have you got? I'm looking to see what they're going to try and do with these Deagles. It's a relatively big investment. Stefan has enough bullets to deal with almost the whole team. 50 in the clip. Stefan's going to be finding Oscar to kick off with, and now Nico's very well aware of what's on the other side. But if there's anyone dangerous with a Deagle, it'll be the man in front of you. Again, he did pick off, was it 4 on Mirage? So
yes, that was double
if anyone can do it, it certainly can be him. But PENTA have absconded most of their presence towards that drop room. Crystal's playing out by the window, so they can't just do a cheeky A split, which looks like the initial intention, but with little ground gained, it's going to be very, very tricky for them to break into this.
Mousesports opt for the more covert option. Oh, there's a nice shot towards Tarsin. Good little chime in there from Spiddy to finish off the kill. Now Mike is playing a ring around the rosy. Eventually does manage to locate Chris J. This gives Spiddy pause for thought now. You'd love to jump over and grab that gun if he possibly can, but Mike is like a bulldog here as well, defending his fallen friend's corpse. And also the sight, easy enough, spray on through. And Nico goes down, given a little bit of help by Dennis there as well, but it was Mike to finish it off. Not a surprise there. Deagles, rarely do they really give you those big results, but sometimes. Spiddy 23 and 8, by the way. It's fantastic. From a guy who's touted as a support player and probably even accepts that, as it is often his role when it comes to sort of what he does on the battlefield. This has just been a really great performance from him, and I'm glad to see it, especially when people ask the question, you know, was it really next that, you know, Mousesports should have shifted and yada, yada, yada. But so far, things are working out pretty well for Mousesports.
Yeah, Spiddy's probably just going to flash them out, try and catch anyone pushing up by the platform, anyone close by. They've only got Glocks, so best you're hoping for, again, will be something like a plant off the back. But Mike S is the one primed and ready for this. This could be a very quick route to... Oh, my God, timing. Timing is everything here. If he gets the nade out at the wrong time, and it is a little off, but he does make up for it. There we go. The P90 comes out to play. Beautiful support as well from Lowell in the back lines, not allowing anything to go ahead. They spot out the buy as well. Purely pistols, nothing more, so they know exactly what they'll be coming up against this round.
Felt like I was watching a video on how hot dogs are made there. That was quite messy. But Mousesports probably knew what they were getting themselves into. They played into that scenario. So now they buy up with those AKs. And again, there were a couple of opportunities they had to slow PENTA down or actually just take the game back into their hands. On the second half in Mirage, they squandered a couple of them and the game got quite close. Mousesports don't want to repeat occurrence of that. Excuse me. Oh, wow, I have a cough button for that. They do want to put this one to bed.
Yeah, so buy round coming in. for Mousesports now. Mike is still opting to stick on the P90. You can play it very well from the platform. You can play it over by drop, but no, he's opted to play on long. Still very viable. As you have those close range angles, you can really utilize it well. And Tarsin, that's brave. Doesn't connect towards anyone. Gives away some long presence. And Mousesports haven't committed with the bomb anywhere. The bomb's still all the way back by those B halls, so it could take a long time for it to anywhere come towards a hit. Nico will be the one to kind of shepherd it round if that does end up being the play. With these 3 players stacked on long, this is a very curious round. Yeah, I'm not sure if PENTA's read this well or looked over how Mousesports like to play their T side, but just stacking straight up 3 players along is quite a rarity, but so's that. Nico just going in towards drop, taking the head off of Stefan, opens up a huge possibility. They can wrap back around towards B after this, and now they only have to take on 1 player.
Chris J falls, the bat signal goes up in the sky, Nico swings down, gets a headshot around the corner while running, and then it's on like Donkey Kong. It's 4 players now for Mousesports heading over, but Nico falls down there. Lol is ready to hold his ground, at least for the moment. It's going to be a Molotov just to cover his trail. Oscar's going to peek this and get the kill. Nicely done, but still these kills are traded back and forth, and it does leave Mousesports at a deficit, or at least it did now, until we have the 2v2. Now, Marquez has a P90. He's flanking with that one. And he's got to come in towards platform as well. So this is not optimal range for him to really make that one happen. Nothing wrong with it as a retake weapon, strictly speaking. But with Oscar holding this long angle, Marquez can't really contest with that.
But Marquez has so much utility. He's got flashbangs, mollies, smokes. He has to try and set up Crystal pretty much at this point. And there it is. The flash comes in. Crystal does pull the trigger towards Dennis. Now Oscar in the 1v2. The molly's burning him out of position. He readjusts well, keeps calm. He even hears where they're coming from. Timing is not on his side. He turns away at the wrong time, and Mike S will deliver. So, again, Penta keep hold of this one. A bit close then in the end, but a very well played out round. And LOL, buying a little bit of time, taking down Nico was great. And then even, throwing down the molly, buying a couple more seconds to allow for the reinforcements to arrive was everything you could hope for. And Mousesports, well, it's time to sit back, become a little more humble about this one. You can't just take it for granted now.
And yeah, Force Pistols in this round quite happily, of course, with that 3K plus money they have to work with. But to be honest, pistol rounds for Mousesports in this match especially, I mean, with the exception of Nico just doing Nico things in that last map, so I haven't really given them too much opportunities. That's kind of the way it should be, to be honest. I think it was Dupree that said that you should really win pistol rounds like 0.5% of the time or something like that, or 5% of the time, I believe it was. So fair enough. Still, Mousesports are going to have a crack at it anyway, see if the odds are in their favor. Nico looking for his first tribute. Stefan now just peeking around the corner. Actually just plays around it quite nicely there.
Yeah, that was actually really nicely played from Stefan, just playing the corner very, very well. Now, the mollies burned them a touch, but not enough to really hinder them too much. But I like the way Penta have fallen back towards the sides, not allowing easy pickups to be made. There is actually 1 man on the side behind them as well, and that was Tarsin waiting very patiently. The bomb's been dropped at long, so Chris J now just trying to claim some scalps more than anything, try and get a gun into his hands. Mike S will not allow it, and Penta make a stride towards the right direction, withstanding the storm, making their economy incredibly robust. Look at Mike S, 12K now. This is en route to becoming a very competitive match. They merely dropped 1 at the start. Now they've turned up. I was worried when they didn't get that first pistol round, but they have stabilized so well.
And the thing is, in 4 of 5 winning rounds for Penta, they didn't lose more than 1 person. It's in that last spree, right? So that's pretty big for them. That's why they got so much money to work with. But the buy for Mousesports is comparable coming into this round. Again, only about 3K between them. That just sinks in towards utility and kits and the like. So this is a fairly even one now. It's going to be Dennis and Nico, of course, often in this position. Now, if you watch Mousesports, you know that that's almost like the default here as well. They always will leave Nico to test, try and pull some players over, maybe even trying to get a kill. He dropped down to drop that other round to try and salvage it. It was a very close one. A defuse round, whereas I think 2 players left for Penta. And again, Mousesports, this kind of blew up in their face last time they tried it. It was the last buy, actually. So much smoke put up, so many Penta players ready, but there's actually no one committed to long A for the CTs here. So Mousesports at least be able to get up a little bit closer, or at least just find some stuff out. But with the smoke on long A, deters them for now.
Nico trying to fake the drop, or fake the sound as if he was already dropped in towards drop. Wait to see if someone pushes out to try and take the peek. No one there going for that. Mike is a little bit worried though. Is he holding a closer angle than I expect? Crystal's actually pulling himself up in towards us as well by the window. So he's doing a good job here, Nico, but he can't land the shot. So he did the intended purpose, but he didn't eventually pull off the final plan of it. But Oscar's quickly got himself into the same position. And now timing again becomes everything. Positioning to follow that, but then Mike S still strikes again. That's 2 big kills back to back. Your heavy hitters are now removed. Mousesports operate operating with merely 3. One smoke and a flash on towards Dennis. This is not an easy task. 20 seconds and a lot of players in front of them, but Christian fancies the challenge, takes down Tarsin, but can he get the plant off? Surely not. There's players left, right, and center. He's actually pulling it off. Oh my word, the bomb's been planted. Mike S is caught unawares, and now Christian in a great dominant position. They're trying to defuse right under his nose. Crystal now on the hunt, takes him down with a Tech 9 and brings it back to a 2v2. Now 2v1 as Dennis is going in, and Mousesports somehow pull off a crazy round.
Absolute daylight robbery. Mousesports go into that, like, when you're 4-5 and your AWP is trying to peek for an entry and gets killed, that's not a good round. You haven't really played well around utility. You haven't really got any entries. And then just walk onto the site under smoke. Your 2 players, oh man, the pressure applied to PENTA here is just immense. You've got 2 players set up on the platform as well. So even with Chris J dying, oh, you still get away with it somehow. Mousesports, nicely played. Very, very nice. And PENTA, I can't blame them for being a bit quizzical about that situation, really. What? No one writes the book on how to deal with the enemy team sneaking into the bomb site under your nose and planting a bomb.
8-14. The disparity from the start of this to the end is the biggest problem. That Mousesports had so many rounds to play with at the beginning that if they break PENTA's economy, the recovery will not happen. It'll be as simple as that. Nico looking for opportunities by drop again. He's trying to make this work for him. It didn't work before. Ooh, his mouse just spins down as he desperately tries to hide his head away from Stefan, who'll find it eventually. And now, again, early advantage gained.
Well, didn't really pose a problem for Mousesports earlier on, but again, keep losing Nico. Nico's the guy looking to just sort of get that entry, be the first player in, or even whatever. Obviously, with Mousesports now committing more towards the B, he's less of a lurker and more of actually an instigator, but gets nothing for that round, as he has in the last couple, to be honest. Nico's been shut down in the last few at least. So Mike is now just a bit of a relocation here towards Chicken Coop, just trying to keep himself safe, but he's been spotted out there as well. They're going to try and wallbang him. That's one towards the head. That's not ideal. Going to back away there as well, I think. Another tag on towards Mike S. He's caught in the open, but there's been time for PENTA now just to respond to this a little bit more. They're now back on towards the site. Some would say the cavalry has arrived. The bomb going to get... Can he not do that? The bomb is down. Mike S. actually goes and gets the kill on Dennis, but still 2 players up for Mousesports now. Very cheeky stuff. Do not tell me this is going to happen. Do not tell me that when the round off the back of this, Oscar actually picks off Tarsin now, and it's a 1v2. Everything is right in the world and again. My lord.
It got dangerous. If Oscar had made that first shot a little cleaner or found an escape after the first shot, that could have been deadly. I don't know how they're getting away with these plants as well. It's constantly in the smoke. It's kind of frustrating to watch for PENTA, because it means that, you know, even though Mousesports, you know, are meant to be down on the money, they're meant to be in the sort of lower ends of the economy, they keep getting bomb plants. They'll keep, you know, being able to rebuy eventually and, you know, have a little bit additional to work with. But for PENTA, they live to fight another day. I guess at this point you hold on to everything you can. So, 9-14, Mousesports are still in the lead, but this T-side has not been a pretty affair for them in any way, shape or form. Struggling to make those first impact plays, losing out on integral players here, and PENTA just reading this very well. The little feet will be seen probably from Tarsin here. Actually sees the full body of Chris J trying to make his way up danger. As 3, 4, make it 5 players, hammer their way up through towards A. And actually, Mousesports are winning out here a little bit. Not too much armor to be seen, though. A little bit sparse between them all. Nico, that's a teammate. Don't hurt Oscar.
I'd be mad.
Don't hurt him.
Bit of an Eastern European rival there. Maybe something being settled off the books, but still a man advantage. But man, very, very low plays here. I mean, to be fair, Nico at best is going to get 1 bite at the apple with that deagle. And it's going to be now, but there's a player up behind him. He's
They've got really good afterplant positions. That's a problem. And was it Nico then walking about? He's buying a bit of time here. And around where we go, I'm pretty sure that's Chris J going on a bit of a long flank. Speedy just needs to buy a touch of time. No. He's done more than that. Chris J actually found Mike S first, but now where's that plant for? It's not planted particularly well for Chris J, but he can find a position just by the tree. And you see Lol desperate that this will not connect. 16 HP, 3 seconds. Chris J gets it in the end, just driving himself in. He gets the ace, and what a round to get it in. He pulls them to 15 on the board here, and PENTA are left reeling again. Finally, Mousesports switched something up a bit there. That very quick, powerful play through towards A just kind of caught them off guard. The afterplant positions were good as well. Somehow, Nico almost took down Oscar, but it still worked out.
I mean, you've not broken the economy of PENTA, but you've definitely broken their heart. Luckily, PENTA can afford plenty more TV dinners and times sat in front of watching Downton Abbey. In this very sad state. What do you like? What do you prefer?
Bridget Jones' Diary, actually.
Bridget Jones' Diary, yeah. I mean, you'd be upset about that, is my point. So a lot of Haagen-Dazs ice cream stocked in the fridge.
Oh, most certainly.
Either way, an AWP here for Oscar. So no AWP buying up here for PENTA. Now, Mousesports just, again, not winning the early trade. I think always going into rounds with these rounds with a man advantage. What's even more impressive about this whole thing is that Mousesports have lost at least 3 out of 4 of these pistol rounds in these 2 games. It could even be 4, I'm not even sure. That's why they have to do this in the second half, because they lose both of the pistols that come into the second and they have a big lead. So it's lucky they had the big lead, otherwise it could be even nastier for them, to be fair.
Yeah, and the problem now being, though, Nico is going to make them nervous. He's picked up a pick towards the B site, and they went for a bit of an ace stack here because, well, it's been working for Mousesports. It's a really viable thing to do, but now they can't withstand if there is actually that late B hit coming around. There's still 50 seconds to play with, so it's certainly a possibility. However, let's see what they go for. The Molly's going to push a little bit of a position out of play now. Crystal tries to find it. Nice work from Tarsin to keep middle in check. He's spotting them out, but Nico is still being the pest over by B. He knows it's clear. Nico needs to get into a good position now. He's picked up enough players. He's not 100% sure it's clear, but he can make the assumption. Now, where does he put himself? 8 HP. It's more one and done, maybe. He's a bit cautious of Coop here. He's going to call out. Guys, I'm not sure if Coop's clear. I can't check it completely, but play around that. Play smart to it. And now here we go.
So, all that after plant utility, well, the smoke goes out from Spitty at least. He has a Molotov still to work with now. That could be very important to stop Lol and Tarsin over on towards a B platform, or at least get them low. I want to see Spitty and Chicken Coop holding it down, but Oscar falls to Tarsin first of all here. He was very, very close up in drop. He was hoping just to be able to, you know, put a wedge in things, throw the stick in the bicycle spokes, as it were. Nico is super low, so Spitty can't rely on him. Spitty can only really rely on himself in this case, but Nico hopes to make something happen, but no, Spitty goes down first. Bomb was planted. Decent rotation from Mousesports, but just didn't work out. And Tarsin, quiet achiever this man, always has been, gets himself the ace for the round.
And what a round to have it in. That looked incredibly viable. You know, Nico, brick after brick, just taking down that house that Penta was desperately trying to build. But the problem being in that final couple of throws, Spitty's position was mostly vulnerable. He can never be safe from the platform or get a good position for the platform push because of the position coming out from Tarsin there. So really nicely done by Tarsin in the end, and Penta just to approach it in that sort of manner. It's also broken Mousesports' money to some extent here. They're not in a good position. They're going to have to go onto the eco, have to play it a little bit of a more humble nature. But Nico and Oscar are going to go onto the Deagles, trying to do some damage back towards Penta here. Stefan going to be tested and passes.
Nicely done. Oscar tries to be a little bit ambitious there. Smoke now going in. Stefan allows him to take more advanced positioning in drop room. And Nico, pretty quickly, I mean, this is the hallmark of a very versatile player, realizes that, you know, the way is shut. Him, at least for the moment. Not even sort of waiting for the smoke, but just backing away and looking for other options now. Although none of them really surfacing over on the A side. I mean, it's just Spitty really just giving a bit of a tickle there to Crystal and Tarsin, and neither of them are really bothered by it. Deagle? No. Okay. So, 15-11. Now, 16-11 was the last map score. The second half went in exactly the same way. So if Mousesports win the game here, it's been a mirrored situation. Literally, the first and second halves for Mousesports. I still think Mousesports had the big lead on the T side on Mirage, but mostly the same. And it's because they lose the pistol in that second half. And I'm pretty sure they lost the first pistol in this game as well. Luckily, they still managed to mess Penta up. Only Mousesports could. If they had won these very important rounds, these rounds that some people say are worth maybe even too much in the grand scheme of the game, we wouldn't still be here, I feel.
No, I tend to agree. Good flash came in, but it didn't really do much. It merely made the player in drop turn around, which is its secondary effect. Give them a shot at it. So they trade in. They sacrifice Nico on the UMP for the kill. A bit of a valuable one at that now, because it's forced the rotate from Penta. They've put a fair amount of their players towards B. They have to stem the bleed somehow. My guess, Lol, all going around. Oscar even selling it further. That's actually quite good, even though he obviously doesn't want to get tacked up. He will actually be in a good spot now. He gets himself in a really prime rotate catching position. Lol walks right into it, and there's now only one man holding the A site. Flashed up, Tarsin now doesn't know where the pressure's going to come from. He has to be so scared. Oscar's somewhere behind him. He's got players pushing up mid. Oscar does go down. He's kept it in check here. Maybe he's done enough to be able to pull this one back in. Crystal takes a big step forward as well. It's down to a 2v2.
Yeah, Penta hanging on for dear life here now, and Chris J just hoping to try and get up the slope and make something happen. But Spitty, he had a good lineup there. Tarsin turns it right around, and Chris J gonna have to back away and try and make this one happen on his own. It's gonna be a 1v2. He has no smokes to work with. He has the bomb. He's going to plant it. He's going to have to hope that he has a damn good position over on this B side to hold off Penta and get the win. Penta, right now, you cannot afford to make any mistakes. You go together, you try and work. At the very worst, you try and go for a trade here in this round. You cannot let this slip away.
Chris J in the 1v1. Or trying to find the 1v1, should I say, first and foremost, but they're not going to let it happen. Tarsin steps in first. Mike S is there. Nade comes out. He does find the first. He found the 1v1 he wanted, but the molly's burning. 32 HP, and he's going to get the shot, and he can't take it. Mike S will recover this one. with a good couple of seconds to spare. And I was worried then. I thought he was going to get that clean 1v1. The Micas wasn't going to provide anything towards it, but eventually came back through. The molly made him be able to, not be able to fall away cleanly. And again, close rounds back to back. There's no, easy rounds to be won here. Both teams having to fight incredibly hard for this, but let's remind ourselves, Mousesports only claiming 3 this half is not good enough. No,
and 2 of those 3 rounds, they had like barely 1 or 2 people alive. Like, there's no clean T-side rounds. There's no fancy executes. There's no entry frag into another kill, into set up smoke, into after plant situation. There's been none of that for Mousesports. They're just sort of trying to peek or try and set something up, and they're dying. They're losing trades early on. I haven't really seen a full-blown execute onto, I could be wrong, Lauren, but I haven't really seen a full-blown execute onto either of these sites yet.
I think Mousesports have maybe done 1 or a couple towards A here and there, but nothing, the set plays towards B where you do the full smoke wall almost, and you molly out all the corners. I'd kind of like to see that, but Mousesports haven't particularly had great deals of money throughout this. Again, they've been kind of struggling on that front. And now what do they have left to work with? 1 smoke, 1 flash. This could set them up anywhere. It looks like a play towards A. You've got the split coming through from drop, just pincering in these players. Mike is in a good position, but he's left the door wide open.
No
Oscar
way.
finds Crystal, and now there's a player let loose. Who's at the back of sight? I'm not even sure who that is. It's Tarsin, again, with so much to handle, and he keeps it in check. Mouse are just getting caught in a bit of a trap here at the end of the day, trying to get the bomb down quickly. Tarsin still being a nuisance. The bomb, I can imagine, will be planted here and left in a 3v2, but almost impossible here for Mousesports. The HP so low. The retake is prime from PENTA. They got dangerous, but not dangerous enough. This is 13-15 in the makings. Mousesports are just smacking the head against the wall at this point.
Yeah, what you have to hope for Mousesports is that those bomb plants are continually forthcoming. You keep a little bit of money extra. Maybe there's going to be a round where you play a gun round and you lose it, and then you can actually force into something half decent. Right now, it's been gun round, they lose it, they're pretty much back on towards Tech 9s and Deagles and the like here. So they haven't had 2 consecutive rounds where they can apply pressure, but yeah, again, Mousesports weren't set up in that last round to have situations where they could scavenge guns or pick them up because it's cobblestone. It's just, T-side cobblestone, PENTA aren't pushing early for information. They're sitting back. Mousesports are coming to them. So it's a fairly, reliable way to play through on this CT side. It doesn't matter if you don't have information, if you can just hold your angles and hold your lines and hit your shots.
So, 13-15, full set for Mousesports here, finally. All the mollies. Got the AWP on Oscar. Tarsin holding a bit of an angle here. The flash won't actually work to blind him, but it will allow a quick escape for Tarsin. He does make it away. Switches up with Crystal, holding the closer angle. They check danger. Chris J, come on, buddy. This is an intense game. This is incredibly intense. Let's be real here. So, again, PENTA have to expend this utility towards long. Try and keep them at bay in case they try to make a hit off the back of it. Down to a minute left, though. Mousesports have a lot to play with. The players remaining who have the utility towards PENTA are Lol, Mike S, and Stefan. So, generally the players at B. So, they can still hold this one. Some well-placed mollies will certainly do wonders at this point, but let's find out. 48 seconds left, and the hit begins. Oscar the first in, and the first to find the pick. Mike S falls, and what a disaster it would be for PENTA if they pull it back this far again and just fall at that final hurdle. Lol, he's now surrounded, but Stefan bails him out of that one.
Yeah, good position there. He could have been in trouble. He had to back away, though, and that entry pick, that first frag was what Mousesports been missing for the last few rounds, and now it seems like everything is falling into place. But Tarsin manages to shut down Nico. He's on his own, though. He's going to be surrounded, and Mousesports, they take their sweet time about it. PENTA really fighting tooth and nail to stay in it, but eventually they are eclipsed by the team that was in the past known as their big brothers. Now they fight as equals, but still Mousesports come out on top, winning both of the best of ones here as well. But we see it like there's a few common themes here, I think. As soon as we saw that pick from Oscar in that last round, I'm like, okay, now this could be happening. We hadn't seen that in the last few gun rounds there, but for Mousesports, a lot of pistol rounds lost, great first halves, and if you're winning those pistol rounds, these would be 16-6s. Instead, now we're seeing 16-11, 16-13, so that is quite important there as well, and it's just the same criticism we had of Mousesports last time we saw him on Cbble, I think, as well. A little bit disjointed. If that first pick, I'd say the percentage of winning rounds where they lose the first player is very lower than even the low average that you expect there, because they managed to do nothing sort of after losing Nico, losing Oscar.
No, I tend to agree. I think there's a lot of attention to be drawn to what Mousesports were doing incorrectly to a degree, or what they could work on. However, I think it's also a very big credit to PENTA to be able to put up a very good fight. And this is one of the teams that are continually just surprising me in how they're playing, if I'm really honest. I really like the way they've approached this season so far. They aren't going to be sitting at the top of the table by any margin. However, they are pushing some of the very best teams to quite far distances, be it through turnarounds in the second half or not, is beyond the point. They're actually managing to do it. If they solidify this, push it a touch further, that'd be kind of impressive to me. I'm seeing them doing very well. You know, so far they've fought against some very hard opponents, and they've always seemed to provide.
And, you know, I can't wait to see, you know, maybe even PENTA one day back at those majors as well, really being in those spots. And they'll have the chances to get there. So far, they're looking quite solid. Mousesports, obviously, though, enjoying a revival, a refreshment, of course, with the new player entering the roster. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look back over the night that was. We had some very epic tussles, especially in the first match, or maybe not so much in the first map as it was. FaZe just looking dominant, but then Fnatic at least split the series there over on Cash. Just a wacky map, just FaZe things, Lauren, there. Really some weird situations and some exciting plays, but FaZe put themselves in situations where they had to go big to get themselves out of.
Yeah, FaZe on, let's start on Mirage. That play on the T side was something to watch back. AZ, huge performance. All these players going absolutely wild. That was my highlight game, I feel. However, Fnatic's resurgence on Cash was again another masterclass, showing that they have the longevity to go all the way. FaZe seeming to run out of steam on occasion, not quite having that diligent T side. And of course, as we just witnessed, PENTA really putting up a good fight, but not yet able to close these games.
There it is. So let's have a look over towards what's happening in the North American region, kicking off at 2 a.m. CEST, or if you're PST, it's 5 p.m. Optic going up against Splice there as well. It's obviously the new look Splice roster. If you don't watch too much NACS, it's the one featuring a Cillian. And then we head across to Complexity versus Echo Fox, who themselves have been making some waves in recent times and have been the subject of a few articles as well, a few bits and pieces of news. So if you are interested, you can find that out. But of course, let's also look towards next week. We're going to be back on Tuesday, guys. It's a bit of a short week for us here, sadly enough. Only 2 nights of play, but Tuesday it all kicks off again. We've got Fnatic versus Virtus.Pro. In the past, 2 dynasties of CS. Now Fnatic looking a little bit weaker, and Virtus.Pro still looking for their feet. Then we move on towards G2 versus Dignitas. Very interesting games to come.
Yeah, always exciting to see G2 having their own issues. You know, I think it was their CT side we've seen being a real hard task for them. So again, let's see how they face off against one of the teams that's heavily stratted on their Ts. Maybe even be able to exploit that further. And as you said, Fnatic against VP is always, it's a thriller to watch.
Absolutely. And guys, in the meantime, while we are away from you, unable to guide you down the path of good CS games, do manage to get yourself on towards the Score Esports app. That'll let you keep in touch with everything that's going on, even outside of the matches as well. It does have our scores, our live tickets, and of course, you'll be able to find out what's happening over in Kiev at the moment. I won't spoil it for you. You have to get the app to find out. But of course, we're going to be back on Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. Until then, good night, have a good week, and we'll see you next time.